start recording. So here we go. So thank you for your participation. As I was just saying, I think it would be very inspiring for people to hear from you. You're in a very simple manner without any big official anything. Your personal experience with bhakti, with dharma, with vidya. You don't need to go into very personal details. Just whatever you feel comfortable sharing. For example, I was they sent me a link today showing that an interview with the head of the Italian Hindu Union, who was saying that in Italy we have 200,000 Hindus on a population of 60 million people, and 80%, 80% of these people, these Hindus, are of Italian origin. They're not of Indian origin, they're of Italian origin. And in fact, the president of this guy who was giving the interview, I can show what is this guy. His name is, okay, and I'm opening because they sent me through X, which was Twitter, but now is X. And it is Franco Di Maria Jayendranath, who is the president of the Italian Hindu Union. And he said that Italy has the second largest population of native Hindus in Europe after Russia. But Russia has lost more people than Italy. Italy is small, can comfortably fit within Orissa. It's about the same size of Orissa, one of the Indian states. So I think that people can be inspired to hear from you, because you are you're quite knowledgeable, you're dedicated, you have chosen to live in Vrindavan, so that is very attractive for all the Italian Hindus. So I don't know. Also, if you have any message or anything, something you want to say, that would be. I think that would be very interesting for everyone, not just for the Italian people, but also for the other people who might be, listening, following our YouTube channel in English, which means, we have several Indian people, and Indian people of, Hindus of Indian descent that are scattered around also in the West, like Britain and USA and like that. So,
okay.
Thanks.
Okay, so I was born in a Hindu family in India, as most of Indians do. But from the beginning, I was not much into bhakti or Bhagavad Gita or those sort of things. We in our household we used to follow some rituals of reading some shlokas from different texts. So in childhood, my upbringing was like that, to recite some shlokas and all. But I was not much interested. When I grew up into teenage, I stopped all that. And Then when I went to college, I was not much curious on what is philosophy, what is Hinduism, and all that. Usual how a college guy would be enjoying his time in college and studying and all that.
Engineering and medical.
Engineering.
Engineering. Is either engineer or medical doctor.
Or medical. Yeah.
Okay.
So that is when, first time some preachers from ISKCON came into our college to spread the message of Bhagavad Gita. So I was busy in some other work. I didn't attend that sort of talk. 2 hour session was that. I couldn't do that, but one of my close friend, who was very close friend of mine, he attended that. And later on, when I went to his home, we discussed what all things he heard there and what interested him. And they were inviting in, students for some of 2-day course wherein, from morning to evening there would be talks, prasadam, and all those things. So I went with him. That was after this talk. I think after maybe 1 or 2 months that this 2-day camp was there. So I went in, and that those 2 days were the life changing moments, I would say, wherein the curiosity grew much into what philosophy is, what Bhagavad Gita is, what Hinduism is, and all those things. Which we had I had Bhagavad Gita at my home, which I never opened until that point. So that grew curiosity in me, what this is all about. I should study, I should understand. This should be the goal of life. To maybe you say nirvana or moksha or going to back to Godhead. All those are synonyms of each other. Later on, which I came to know. Earlier, I was just curious, what is the purpose of life? That's the basic question which rose in me. Some of which was answered in a way how ISKCON or from the bhakti point of view. But when I went deep into ISKCON's philosophy and all, I tried to understand. I was with ISKCON, by the way, for around 10 years, I would say. But later, when I got much knowledge about what this is all about, some of the philosophy I couldn't agree with, which I felt was more exclusive to, like how in Christianity or in Islam, in Abrahamic religion, we are right, others are wrong. So those kind of notion I used to get at some levels. Not everyone I met was like this, but some of the people were like that. Some of the philosophies were like that, which always stopped me from going associate more with them. I associated lot many times. I got to know few many interesting things. What is bhakti? What is Krishna? Who's Radha? Who's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? All that I got to know within ISKCON only. But some of the points I their differences with the Shankaracharya philosophy of Advaita. Or with the other deities like Shankara and Shakti. So those things always kept me on the edge. I couldn't agree with them, but I had no option to go anywhere. So I continued with them. And then, when this curiosity was I need to find out what is truth. I explored on various forums and various YouTube videos and all that, and then that's how I came in contact with you.
Okay, nice.
One of your article, blog post on some website where I was questioning these things only. My questioning was around this the Advaita philosophy or Shankara or Shakti, like that. So then I landed up with on your blog and understood how it should be interpreted and how a Krishna Bhakta would see Shiva or Shakti, or what is the philosophy of Advaita, Brahman, all those things which were earlier I had some understanding, which was with the ISKCON's lens, I would say I've understood, but later on I got a broader picture of what these things are through you and through other YouTube channels and blog posts and all those. So that's when, I started drifting away from ISKCON and trying to find out what really, what is the truth.
Yeah, a
So,
wider perspective, a more,
uh,
more solid, more original perspective.
more original, yeah. Because, I would say somewhere deep inside you, I think, in your Bhagavad Gita commentary, you mentioned somewhere, or in some of your book, that what comes naturally, when you are in your good conscious, good state of mind, what naturally comes to you is dharma. And dharma won't teach you divisiveness. That, okay, you are right,
Yes.
others are wrong. So that's when, I like that concept very much, that you shouldn't be looking at others as, okay, they are inferior or you are superior. So that shouldn't be a perspective of a realized person or who's advanced in his spiritual knowledge. So that's when I started researching it on more, trying to understand philosophy from those who are following Advaita or who are bhaktas of Shiva or Shakti.
Hmm.
And I understood, at least from the devotional perspective of those who are devoted to Shiva or Shakti, it's almost similar, just that their ishtas are different. Rest all,
Yes.
most of it, and even I would say those who are the followers of the impersonal Brahman, or they our primary motive is to get rid of uh, our shortcomings, or how we put it in Indian philosophy as our Shadvikar, Kam, Krodh, Moha, Matsar. So those things we have to overcome. This principle is common across wherever, whichever Indian philosophy you deal with.
Yes.
So this is what I thought, let me concentrate this on more, I'll keep finding all the other answers which I had. So that's that brought me to, many saintly personalities. I watched their YouTube videos, heard from them, read their books, and under made my personal, uh, I would say, looking at these things, how these different aspects are seemingly from outside it would seem as if they are different, but they are one only.
Yes.
Just that, that same Brahman, they are calling it by different names.
Yes.
And
That.
I think,
Mm.
yeah, go ahead.
No, no, which is what the Vedas say.
Yes, correct. So that's what I'm trying to pursue also now, to learn more, understand more, and simultaneously, increase my devotion towards Krishna and Radha, who are my Ishta, I would say. But,
Nice.
other may find them in Ram and Sita, Shiva and Shakti, whichever way. But those are not, not different from, in a way that, okay, those are inferior or something.
Yeah.
They are finding bliss there, like God has attracted them in that form. So they are dedicated there. He attracted me in this form, so I'm attracted here. But
Yeah.
ultimately, we
As
are following the same Brahman.
yeah, as Bhaktivedanta Swami was saying, on the spiritual level, there is nothing less. There is only more. The spiritual
Yes,
mathematics
absolutely.
are not subtracting anything.
Mhm.
So that's a very important way to see the Brahman, the Param Brahman.
Mhm.
Okay,
So,
so what can you say about Krishna, Radha Krishna? That
uh,
that you can say, not
yeah,
too personal, just whatever
yeah.
you
They are,
feel.
I see them as my Ishta.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, as, Krishna has, from, we have heard so many stories about Krishna from Mahabharata or from
Uh-huh.
Bhagavad Puran, and many places we see, how Krishna deals with. So there is one very special bhajan which Surdas wrote, which I like very much, which captures Krishna's essence. I would say the wordings are "सबसे ऊंची प्रेम सगा." It's in Braj Bhasha, or moreover like Hindi only, and it explains different interaction, how he had lunch at Vidura's place and he rejected what Duryodhana was offering. Though
Yes.
Duryodhana was offering him a palate, sumptuous meal,
Yeah.
chappan bhog and all, but he accepted the a piece of banana at Vidura's
Yeah, I
place.
was happy.
Why?
Yeah.
Because of love, that
Yes.
loving interaction. He's hungry for love, not for your what food you are offering.
Yes.
And then in the other stanza, it tells about. So first is this. Then the second stanza tells about how he, being the God himself, he accepted the position of a charioteer.
Yes.
And he forgot that he is God, and he accepted the position of charioteer and became Arjuna's charioteer. Why? Because of, again, love. So this, what I would say is from, if you look at God in that way, who's hungry of your love, you also you want to serve him as much as you can, so that
Very true.
loving exchange between God and his devotee can become sweeter and sweeter. So when you hear of all these interactions with his cowherd friends, with gopis, or Kunti, or Arjuna, or Vidura, you whatever feelings you have for Krishna increase day by day. You hear all these stories, and that way, that love becomes your source of everything. I would say, how
Yes.
you live in this world, how you interact with others, because that way, once you reach that particular stage, that you see Krishna's presence everywhere. You know that, okay, others are also parts and parcel of Krishna only. So your behavior automatically changes towards others. You start caring more for others. So
Very true.
yeah,
Which is what we need today, as always. Human beings, human society always needed this, but, today especially, as we
yeah,
are
true.
suffering in Kali Yuga problems.
Mhm.
Excellent.
Yeah, that's
That's
about
nice.
me.
That's very nice. That's very nice. I think that your presentation is very inspiring and very sincere, very direct. I think that the people who will listen to it will definitely be able to see your sincerity, your your truth, your truthfulness, because many people, some people make a distinction between religion and spirituality. They believe that religion is something external. It's about rituals, it's about social interactions, formal social interaction. While spirituality is our personal inner development. But in fact, religion is supposed to be spirituality. Otherwise, it's just a superficial, mechanical identification. So we know that duality, material duality, is the basis of the separate identification, material identification, which is the problem. Krishna in Gita many times says that we have to overcome the duality of illusion a delusion of duality. And we should see, we should work for the benefit of all beings. We should see equally all souls, all people, and especially if other people are, sincerely engaged in dharma, as you were saying, like vanquishing one's own bad tendencies and qualities. We should be very open to all the good people, without sectarianism, without the material identification and attachment, the ahankara and mamattva, which is very important. So yeah, I really liked your presentation. So we can extend the invitation to everyone who's listening, to try to go beyond the narrow-mindedness of sectarianism. You want to say something about that? That would be great.
Yeah. So, many a times I think it is a matter of time. I think if you are sincere and if you continue with your spiritual practices, I feel like, someday or the other you will realize this sectarianism is not good for anyone, neither the practitioner nor for the society.
Yeah.
So whoever is practicing and thinking that maybe I would extend this to all the religions, like Christians or Muslims who feel that okay, or within in Hinduism also different sects we have, or different paramparas, Guru Shishya paramparas we have. Many of them, and I think it is not. I won't blame it on the those the great gurus and saints who have laid out the philosophy, but it's on the part of the practitioner who starts. And I think because of their own ego, they come to this conclusion that okay, my philosophy or my beliefs are the best. And if they follow sincerely their true teachings of their spiritual master, or the parampara they are in, someday or the other they would realize that all paths are equal, all different philosophies which we have in Hinduism are equal, and they also would come to the same, not in the same of, I would say, okay, Krishna's devotee would attain Krishna, Rama's devotee would attain Rama, but ultimately it would be the one and only same Brahman realization they'll come to.
Yeah, I agree that if someone is sincere and they have this this good sense, because that is why it's called Sanatana Dharma. Sanatana Dharma means that the original Dharma, the natural Dharma, is eternal, universal. We all, as human beings, irrespective of the culture where we were born and raised, we have the same spontaneous, natural feeling towards the basis, the basic principles of Dharma, which are, honesty, truthfulness, compassion, love, compassion, and cleanliness, purification of one's existence, and self-control, self-discipline, making the right effort to become better people. This is the natural tendency of all human beings. So, irrespective of the group or sect that one has become associated with for some reason or another. Eventually, if someone is sincere and honest, they will come to the realization of the Sanatana Dharma. Now, the problem is that sometimes we should understand that although God is, Brahman is both Sat and Asat, God is everything. But there is one result when we follow Sat and a different result when we follow Asat. Because some ideologies, we can also describe them as religions because they consider themselves, they're considered religions. They are based on Asuric principles and not on Dharmic principle, Daivic principle. So actually, this tendency started. I think we mentioned sometime in the past about Zoroaster.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he actually was officially, he flipped the entire thing upside down. So he presented the great Asura as God and the Devas as devils. The devil, Ahriman, the devil and the Devas were the servants of the devil. And if we follow this mentality, it's not easy for us to actually come to the same result of someone who is following the natural principles of Dharma. Like the other ancient religions, they had a broader concept of Dharma, which is okay, but in Gita, you remember Krishna when describing the difference of characteristics between the Daiva and Asuric Sampada. Also, the Asuras are also claiming to be religious. Because they perform ritual sacrifices. They may also have their own scriptures. But what is written in the scriptures? Not all the word scripture simply means something that has been written. So, who wrote the scriptures? Even Adolf Hitler wrote a book, the famous Mein Kampf, and for the Nazi ideologues, that was scripture. Mao Zedong, he wrote the famous Red Book, establishing his ideology. And that booklet, it was not a big book, that booklet became the scripture for the Maoists. And Naxalites, and in India, we know them as Naxalites mostly. So we cannot say that all paths will necessarily bring to the same result. As you have also experienced, if you are sincere, you can become aware that different paths are going in different directions. So specifically, we need to make sure that the path we are following is a divine path. It's not a Asuric path. But within the divine path, there are different groups. And then, you know, among the different dharmas, they're all good, because the famous saying, Sarva Dharman Samobhava. But we are still talking about dharma. We are not talking about adharma. So there is a difference. We have to make sure that what we are following is actually dharma and not adharma. Now, of course, this is not established in a sectarian manner. It's not established on the basis of material identifications, attachments, possessing, belonging, you know, but it is determined by what is called viveka, which means the intelligence that helps us to distinguish sat from asat, dharma from adharma. Because it's true, there is no duality in the sense that it's all part of the game, you know, all part of the lila. But it is like when we go to school and we have the exam test paper with the multiple choice format, that there is a question and then a few answers are offered, and we need to choose what we believe is the right answer. Now, they're not all right answers, of course. You know, there is one right answer among maybe 3, 4, 5 possibilities, options. So we choose what we think is the correct answer. But the fact that there are the other answers, one only is right and the other answers are wrong, is still within the school system. It's not that some bad people put the wrong answers in the test paper. They have put the wrong answers, have been put in the test paper as options because we need to become intelligent and knowledgeable and understand why they are wrong. And then you remember in the Gita when Krishna is speaking about the asuras, they say that they don't follow the Shastra. They go whimsically and based on this principle of hostility and selfishness, egotism. So that is not in accordance to the Shastra, even if they write their own books and call them Shastra. So that is
yes, true.
Yeah.
Now, like when I was referring to different schools, I was referring to, like, you know, what we have is Dvaita, Vishishta Dvaita.
Oh, that
all
is a
these
different thing. That because they're all based on Shastra.
Yeah.
You know, they're all actually focused on the Vedic Shastra, the original Vedic Shastra, and they all accept, for example, they all accept Bhagavad Gita.
Yes.
You know, but if you go and ask like a Christian preacher or a Muslim mullah if they accept Bhagavad Gita, they don't.
True.
So their basis is that God is actually against what Krishna is saying in Gita, because Krishna says, for example, I do not hate or favor anyone. Now, the Abrahamic religions, they say the opposite. They say that God has a chosen people, and only those who worship that God, which is different from the other gods.
On this, I remember one interesting anecdote which I heard. One of Hindu preachers.
Yes.
Like he met one Christian preacher,
yes.
and they were arguing about this thing only. So
yeah, exactly.
This Hindu preacher asked one simple question. Let's say, on a remote island in somewhere, in Andaman, Nicobar.
Yes.
Where no access to current what you say, modernism, nothing is no religion, nothing. So if that person is born here, he doesn't know anything about Christianity or Islam or any of the Abrahamic religion, and he dies. What would happen to him? Because you say until someone follows the path laid out for Christianity or Muslim, if they don't do that, they'll go to hell. So he'll go to hell simply for nothing. So your God only gave birth to him in some that remote island, and then he died. So what would happen to him? Would he go to hell or heaven? So he was speechless what to give answer on this, because he has done all good deeds, he has not done anything bad, but simply because he has not followed or chanted Allahu Akbar or whatever, God is great or whatever, Jesus something, so then he'll go to hell just simply because of this reason.
Yeah.
Because all the philosophy is, if you follow us, you are safe. If you don't follow, then you are doomed. So this doesn't make sense if somebody is following this like
philosophy, because if we go and ask the Christians or Muslims, most of them, they actually don't know what their scriptures say. And those who know, they're even worse. So I don't know, because this I was discussing with Sudeeèp ji and some other friends in the Hindu resurgence movement, because I think that we as Hindus, we also need to understand a little better about the Abrahamic religions, what they actually say. And make a distinction between the ideology and the bodily prejudice. I mean, someone who was born in a Christian family is not a Christian unless he actually believes and practices what Christianity teaches. It's not just a matter that someone was born in a Christian community or a Muslim community or tribal community or whatever. Because we can see that sometimes the children make very different choices compared to the parents. So if we identify, if we ascribe an ideology to people just because of their birth, we are actually creating a very serious problem. Because we force people to, be a part of a group that is potentially extremely damaging. Like I was discussing about this with some people when I was in Puri. Yes, from the Puri, the Govardhana pit, So, because they confuse Dharma with religion, and they think that all religions are the same. But the actual point is not all religions are, all the dharmas are the same. All the swadharmas, because they're based on the same principles. But if different religions are based on different principles, and especially some of them are based on adharmic principles, then how can you say that they're dharma? Like for example, is there a criminal dharma? No. You have, when you're born in a family, you follow the Kula Dharma. Yes, okay. But if your family is a family of highway robbers, like we know Valmiki, the story of Valmiki is so brilliant. Because he was born in a family of robbers, in a family of criminals. And he was, doing the criminal because that's what we do, it's our tradition, our habit. I was raised in this mentality. But that was not dharma. It's not the same as, following the principles of dharma. There is no such thing as criminal dharma. Because dharma is, by definition, that which sustains the general existence of the universe. The individual in relationship with the community, with the universal community of all beings. So we worship the devas, we worship the Supreme Brahman, because everything is part of the Supreme Brahman, and the devas take care of everyone. They work for the benefit of all beings. Like Sarva Bhuta, all the beings, Krishna says many times, we should work for the benefit of all beings. Not just of a group of beings. But the idea of separation, of selfishness, is a typical idea of the asuras. Like, I was very, very impressed when I read that the name of the mother of the asuras, the Daityas, her name is Diti, which means duality, separation. And that's the main characteristic of the Daityas and Asuras. They see others as different from themselves. So they are selfish. Selfishness is not just individual selfishness. It can extend to your group. Just the fact that you're selfish. You can also be selfish to support your own family, but that's still selfishness. So Valmiki was, professionally a robber, but he could understand that he was not, supporting dharma. That was not dharma. That is something else. So that is, I think that we should maybe, some idea that is coming to my mind. Maybe one thing we could do, in a very, unorthodox, controversial maybe even manner, maybe we should get the Bible and start reading the Bible. Yeah, because, people, especially Hindus, they think, Christians are so nice. If a Christian is following, his path, he will come, because God is God for everyone. Yanti deva vrtadvan, pitrin yanti, pitrin vrtahan. Buddha, Yanti Bhuteja. Those who worship the ghosts, they don't go to Krishna, they go to the ghosts. Krishna is everywhere, but we still have to choose. We still have to meditate and serve, because Krishna says, all beings are in the Brahman, but Brahman is not totally, as Brahman into each being. So if we worship a ghost, if we worship an asura, if we worship rakshasas, we are not getting the same result. Not even in 1 million years. Because we are not going in the right direction. I don't know, does it make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
So, yeah, I think that this is important because Abrahamic ideologies are very clever in their propaganda. Very clever. And all the three of them have this principle, one of the principles of their religion that is completely adharmic, which is against the basic principle of Dharma, which is Satyam. So this principle that all the Abrahamics follow is that they can lie by presenting themselves and their group, their ideology, whatever, in a better light than what is actually the truth. They can deceive, they can lie. In fact, in the word propaganda, the term propaganda, is a Latin word. Is literally means that which should be propagated. And it's a part of the expression propaganda fidei, which was invented by the early Christianity, this government Christianity in the late Roman Empire, the end of the Roman Empire, that from Constantine and Theodosius, they made Christianity the state religion. And Christianity became, with Theodosius became the only allowed religion. All the other religions and ideologies and groups, and even people who didn't want to have any religion, they were, blasphemers. They had to be killed by the government. So, but that should be covered by the propaganda. We don't tell people we are going to kill them. We are just talking about, oh, so nice, we love everyone, Jesus loves you. But that's propaganda, because you go and study the history of Christianity for the last 2,000 years. The history of the leaders of Christianity, not a bunch of stupid criminals who happen to be Christians. No. The leaders of Christianity, the entire system of Christianity. If you have a look at these 2,000 years of history, what do you know? What do you see? Jesus loves you. So, how many people were tortured, killed, enslaved, and the Bible, approves slavery. Even the Christian part of the Bible.
But can we say that, okay, maybe Jesus might not have done all this Bible, since it is written after so many years of Jesus might have been a nice person, and then those who came to power used and modified.
Oh, definitely. This is a very, yes. Lots of people have come to this conclusion. But the point is that if we support Jesus, then our good intentions will be exploited by the bad people who say, oh yeah, we represent Jesus. You know how it works, right?
Yes.
So, in the last years especially, there has been a big development in scholarship, official academic scholarship, that is clearly disproving a lot of things that have been said about Jesus and the early Christianity and the Gospels and this and that. Especially, have you heard about Nag Hammadi and Qumran?
No.
Okay. That happened in 1947, just when India got independence, which is not a very long time ago. Just after the Second World War, there were two big archaeological discoveries in the Middle East. One was in Egypt, in Nag Hammadi, and the other was in Israel, in Palestine, near the Dead Sea, in a place that was called Qumran. Now, the Nag Hammadi and Qumran texts, which were found, unexpectedly. Some people were, some goat herders going around and trying to, they found these big pots in a very separate location, in different timings. And within these pots, they found a lot of ancient books, very ancient. Now, the Nag Hammadi manuscripts were dated around 150 of the current era. Around 150, 200 of the current era. And the Qumran texts were dated 150 before the current era, like 300 years earlier. And they are extremely interesting. They're extremely interesting because they give the a much better view of what was exactly the situation at that time. And also, this has sparked a lot of archaeological research. So, for example, there is one Jewish archaeologist who is a professor of ancient history in Israel, in a Jewish university in Israel. And his name is Gad Barnea. And he's presently he's at the top of my hit parade of scholars. I used to appreciate a lot Bart Herman, but Gad Barnea is so much better. So he is an archaeologist, so he went to do some digging, and I have also been reading, studying, other texts and books, and they are showing, like, for example, Barnea went to, discovered a lot of very interesting, stuff. In the island of Elephantine, which is near Aswan. Aswan, I don't know if you have any idea about Egypt. Not much, maybe.
Hey, Egypt, country, I know, but I don't know the
Okay,
names.
good. So in Egypt, you know there is a big river there in Egypt called Nile.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Now, denial is not denial in the psychological sense, because that Mark Twain was very funny. Okay, the river Nile has always been extremely important for Egypt, because, near the river banks, within a certain, territory near to the banks, there was a lot of fertile land. But just going a bit further away from the riverbank, you have the complete desert. So the river Nile has always been extremely important for Egypt. And and it starts in the center of Africa, in the south, and flows to the north into the Mediterranean Sea. So at the going south towards the sources of the river Nile, there is a famous dam that has been built also in the last century. The Aswan Dam. It was very big at that time. And near the dam has been created in a place that was extremely important for the river development, because it was not the sources of the river, but it was a very famous waterfalls, which kind of show where the Nile was starting. Now, there is an island in that area, there's still an island there, which is called Elephantine. I don't know exactly why it has something to do with elephants, but I'm not sure. But that's a name. So this island of Elephantine had the first temple of Yahweh that has, still, archaeologically possible to investigate archaeologically. And it was around 700 BCE. And Gad Barnea has done a lot of research there, digging up a lot of stuff. And that temple was abandoned in about 500 BCE, when there was a clash with the Persian Empire. You heard about the Persian Empire?
No.
Okay. Like Persian, Parsi, Iran.
Okay.
Okay. Now, maybe you don't know, but the Persian Emperor Cyrus is considered a Jewish Messiah by the Jews, because he helped the Jews to build the temple in Jerusalem. So Cyrus was an enemy to the Babylonian Empire, and an enemy also to the Egyptian Empire kingdom. So the Jews that were living in that area, in Elephantine, became allied of the enemy of Egypt, so they were all kicked out. In about, I think now, I don't remember exactly, but okay, I can check when exactly it was. Cyrus the Great that Iran, blah blah, hailing from Persis, blah blah, Achaemenid Empire. Yeah, so he was around in 600 to 530 BCE. So the Jews were kicked out of Egypt around 550, 500 BCE. So they left their temple there. And the temple was abandoned. That's why there's so much material that was abandoned there and still can be, excavated and found out. So, Gad Barnea, has done a lot of research and publications and everything. And he's shown that until the 200 BCE, there was no Jewish religion. Nobody had heard about Abraham, Moses, or anything like that. So the Jewish religion at that time, the Yahweh religion, was polytheistic, first of all. Yahweh was only one of a pantheon of kind of Anunnaki people, gods. And he had a consort whose name was Asherah. And they had all these, what they call idols. They had a lot of them. But it was basically, this Yahweh was Ahura Mazda, because they had, the idea was there were very much followers of Zarathustra. Then the Jewish religion, as we more or less know it, only started in 200 BCE with the Hasmonean dynasty, the Maccabeans. So this is all history that has come to, to be known by people only recently, because the original narrative of historians was the Bible is a history book. Okay, I can see that we got a bit late. We got 15 minutes after the time that we were expecting. But I don't know if you feel that this kind of information can be helpful, to make people more aware of the actual historical and scriptural information. I would be very happy if you could help me make some presentations in that regard. So
yes,
okay. Okay, we can discuss for the next time.
Okay.
But I'm extremely happy and very grateful to you for your being so available and so nice in presenting your perspective. And I'm sure that many people will really appreciate that.
Thank you.
So, okay. So we'll talk again. We'll talk about also Radha Krishna, because that's our most important point. But we also need to clean a little bit of misconceptions from, the surrounding areas. We need to clean the area a little bit. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Jai Radhe, Jai Shri Krishna.
Jai Jagannath.
Jai Jagannath.